to introduce Ruchika Singhal. Ruchika has written a recent book. I'm going to give her the plug. I welcomed her to give a plug, but I'm going to do it for her. This is a fantastic book, fantastic read. It takes a wonderful perspective on both the individual and the impact that you make as an individual and things that you're looking at in your lives. With that, I'm so pleased to introduce Ruchika, who's a consultant with us and a coach with us. Ruchika, please. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil, so much, first of all, for inviting me for this talk. I also want to thank Dan. I'm not sure if he's on the call because he was one of my first readers from ESC and he gave me a very detailed review. But thanks, Phil, for also reading my book. So what I'm going to do today, because Phil told me it has to be like 13, 14 minutes, so I've kept it very short and crisp. But I also want to give you the core message in a very simple form today. So I want to start by saying that somewhere today in this call, someone is pretending to be fine. They are showing up, doing the work, answering the emails, attending meetings, but inside, they don't know who they are anymore. Maybe it happened because of something dramatic. It could be a job ended, a relationship ended, a business failed, children left home, or maybe it was just a creeping feeling which just came on. And how I like to define this in one sentence is, the person I built my life around no longer feels like me. And I want to repeat this line again. The person I built my life around no longer feels like me. And when that happens, we tend to use one word for this and we say, I'm stuck. But what if I tell you that that's not true? What if I say that the most disorienting moments of your life are not deadlocks or breakdowns? What if they are transitions? And what if I say that you are not stuck? You are just between identities. And that's really the title of my talk today. You are not stuck. You are between identities. And I know this feeling very well myself, because by the age of 14, I changed 7 schools as my dad was in the army. And as an adult, I rebuilt my life across cities, countries, and careers. I have failed. I have reinvented multiple times. And after nearly 3 decades in corporate leadership, I walked away from it all and became a reinvention coach, author, and facilitator. And now I'm coaching people through major transitions. I've noticed something really remarkable. So what happens is that the details, when you go into the details, they look different. They always may be different. But the feeling that they come with is always the same. People believe they are lost, but often they are standing in the space between who they were and now who they are becoming. And nobody teaches us what to do in that space. We are taught how to succeed. We are taught how to achieve our goals. And we are taught how to climb ladders, whether they be social ladders, corporate ladders. But nobody really teaches us what happens when the ladder you've been climbing all along suddenly leans against the wrong wall or a different wall. And nobody teaches us what happens when success no longer feels like success. And that matters because disruption today is no longer an event. It's almost like a condition of modern life. Industries are changing, careers are changing, technology is reinventing itself, jobs are disappearing, and relationships are evolving. Our bodies are changing, and trust me, I can say that about my body. Our priorities are shifting, and sometimes the biggest disruption isn't losing something. It could just be outgrowing something. Yet, most of us interpret this experience as failure. We panic, we rush, we freeze, or we desperately try to go back to what we used to be. And the reason is very simple. Our brains are wired for survival, they are not wired for reinvention. So, when identity disruption happens, the brain reacts as if something dangerous has occurred. And we all know that there's this amygdala inside our brain that fires. And the stress hormones, they rise, and we move into one of the three modes: fight, flight, or freeze. So, fight means we'll be taking impulsive decisions, trying to fight it out. Flight would be we'll try to avoid it. And freeze, we go into complete paralysis. Now, none of these responses are because we are weak. It's just that we are human. And the brain is actually treating identity disruption like a threat. But identity disruption is not a predator, it's an invitation. And this completely changes the way we look at identity disruption. And once I understood that, I began noticing that people who navigated transitions successfully did three things differently without even knowing. Not because they were stronger or smarter, because intuitively they understood what was actually happening, though they had no name or process to understand that. And I'm going to here talk about three steps, just three simple steps right now. The first is to recognize that you are between identities. You need to stop calling yourself broken, lost, failed, whatever. You give this experience a more accurate name, an identity disruption, an identity transition rather, and that shift may sound small, but language changes the experience that we have with it. And the moment you can name what's happening, you stop fighting it. You begin to understand that this isn't the end of the story. This is just a chapter in your story. The second step I would like to say is something that most of us never do. We don't say goodbye to the identity that no longer fits. And this is why letting go matters so much. Because if you don't realize you're between identities, the in-between space is terrifying. It's uncomfortable. You don't want to be in that space. And your instinct then is not to explore in that space, it's to escape that space. And you start searching for something familiar. So what happens is you stay in relationships that have stopped nourishing you years ago. You remain in jobs that drain your energy and diminish your confidence. Because unfamiliar possibility is very difficult to comprehend, and we love familiar pain. So familiar pain is safe. And we keep repeating the same patterns, the same environments, and the same identities, not because they are good for us, but because they are very familiar. Familiarity feels safe, and uncertainty feels unsafe. So even when it's making us miserable, the old identity becomes an anchor, and we keep holding on to it. And as long as we are holding on to it, we cannot see the signals that are trying to guide us forward. We cannot see curiosity, we cannot hear possibility, and we cannot notice what is trying to emerge in our lives. Because every ounce of our energy is being spent trying to preserve a version of ourselves whose time has already passed. And that is why farewell matters. Not because the old identity was bad, but because holding on to it prevents the new one from appearing. So think about it like this. We have retirement parties, we have graduation ceremonies, we have farewell speeches. We know how to mark endings, right? But we almost never say goodbye to old identities. We carry them with us long after life has moved on. And then we wonder, why are we feeling so heavy? And one of the most powerful lessons I've learned is this, that every reinvention requires a farewell. Not because it was wrong, the old identity, but it was not the right one for your next chapter. So you don't need to erase it or regret it or any of that. You need to just thank it and let it go. There have been times where actually I've asked people to celebrate it by cutting a cake with their family and kind of bidding it a farewell. It makes a huge difference. And then comes the last and the hardest step. It's very hard, this step, because it's staying in this uncomfortable space that we have now. This space between endings and beginnings. The space where nothing feels clear. So most people want to rush out of it because we are taught that uncertainty is a problem and clarity must come first. But in reality, clarity often comes last. Curiosity comes first. So the question should not be like, what is my 1-year plan? What is my 5-year plan? But the question should be more like, what am I curious about? What is pulling my attention right now? What is energizing me right now? What keeps showing up for me? And what is making me feel alive now? So curiosity is often direction before direction becomes visible. And it's the first whisper of a new identity. And if you're willing to stay in that uncertain space long enough, something remarkable happens. You stop trying to become who you used to be, and you begin discovering who you might become because you've given yourself that space. Today, I want to leave you with one simple idea. The discomfort you feel may not be proof that something has gone wrong. It may be proof that something is changing. The in-between is not a mistake. It's not a waiting room. It's not a wasted time. It's one of the most important spaces of your life. Rather, I also call it the regenerative space, because this is where reinvention happens. So the next time life feels uncertain, recognize that you may be between identities. Say goodbye to the identity that no longer fits and stay in this uncomfortable space long enough to follow your curiosity, because you are not stuck. You are not broken. You are not late. You are simply between identities. And this is where your next chapter of life will begin. Thank you. I've just tried to keep it very short.
Thank you, Ruchika. Thank you so much. Any questions for Ruchika? Any discussion? Irv.
I hit the wrong button. No question.
No worries. Any discussion or questions for Ruchika?
Where can we get your book, Ruchika?
Sorry?
Where can we get your book?
Yeah, you can get it from Amazon. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it would be nice for you to give me your feedback and read it. And yeah.
And I think you have a podcast on Spotify, correct?
Yes. Did you read that? Or did you listen to that?
I just followed it while you were talking. So
okay. Okay, yes, I do have a podcast.
And we are blessed to have Ruchika as part of our network, not just as a wonderful speaker today, but as both a coach and a consultant. And so certainly, as we encourage everyone to reach out, please reach out to Ruchika and connect with Ruchika as well. Ruchika, thank you. That was really wonderful.
Thank you so much.
All right, now moving on.